This is Ellie. He's 26. He's worked at NASA and MIT as a systems engineer. One of the smartest people I know. One of my absolute best friends. Now he's pretty much like a brother. And I've actually been helping him build his business from scratch for a while now. And I noticed he was struggling quite a bit with clarity. He and I have been pretty obsessed with clarity for some time now, but he wasn't sure what to do next in his business, where to go in the next few months. He's not really sure what actions to take. He's kind of overwhelmed in a way, or he was before this video. So what we did is we took what I use for my 9-figure business plan roadmap and applied it to him, made a 10-year business plan for him, starting all the way from what he should do today. He's trying to build a really big company with wearable electronics and software and everything. He's trying to build something pretty intense. So this is a really interesting video. And there's also one other major bottleneck that he's facing in this video that I uncovered for him that, I kid you not, pretty much anybody watching this will benefit from. Like, if you've been in business for under 3 years at this point, this is definitely something you're going to get a ton of value from watching in full. If you'd rather go and scroll YouTube shorts and watch memes and stuff, be my guest, but I don't even sell coaching calls at the moment. And this is a fully private conversation we had behind closed doors that you're accessing in full, completely for free, no opt-in, nothing. So enjoy. Let's just start with your current situation, where you're at right now. And then,
Yeah, so so if you remember, what I did is I started my business sometime in like December, January. I turned on my ads February 1st. And then February, I did 11K my very first month. And then that's when I was like, whoa, I could really do this. I closed a few people without a script. And then I was like, all right, now what? What am I trying to do with my life, big picture? So basically March, April, May, and parts of June, I was again not really doing much in that 5K, 10K range, some few clients here and there. I was getting some salary for my PhD as well, so I'm not really incentivized to go and make tons of money. And I was growing my YouTube channel. But then June, July was when it really hit me, because I'm about to graduate, and then my lease was ending in Boston in August. So long story short, in July, I go on like a fuck it, I'm dropping everything, and I go for 3 weeks in Europe, just reflecting on what I want to do with my life. And I come back and I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I definitely want to do meaningful work with amazing people. I definitely want to have like a loving, supportive partner. I definitely want to try to have an impact. I want to do all these things. And I realized that what that would entail is it would entail what I call the Holy Trinity. Like my engineering research slash engineering work, which is like crucial. The business, my offer around like the optimization and helping people scale, building systems for the entrepreneur, building systems for the business. And then my YouTube channel, Ali the Dazzling, which initially was really just a passion project for helping engineering students, but now I see it as an opportunity to recruit engineers for my business. So there's a really nice, even though it's three separate things, they all feed into each other, because A, I'm an engineer, B, my business is around engineering frameworks, C, my channel is on educating and training engineers. So there is synergy between them. They all kind of feed into the big picture. The biggest bottleneck I've had is kind of just dealing with the uncertainty where, shit, man, like, all right, I moved back home temporarily, and then I'm thinking, do I go back to NASA in LA? Do I go back to Boston to my university where I can only work maybe 10, 20 hours a week and focus more on the business? These big decisions are really what's or the other school of thought, which is, do you even need to decide that, or can you just kind of start building everything independent of where you live? These are things I still have not like fully tackled, but they are definitely like clarity is 1,000,000% the bottleneck.
right. So a couple things I have. There are some things that stood out that were your reflections from your Europe trip. One, loving, supporting partner. Two, impact. Three, meaningful work. I think there was one, or maybe there were two other things that I was missing there.
Well, like a
And
dent in the
then
universe.
aside of the Holy Trinity thing,
Right.
impact, dent in the universe. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, what I mean by that
understand that.
is like in February when I closed my first few clients, I was like, shit, man, I could do this. And then I immediately was like, okay, well, what's the point? Like, okay, I could scale a business, I could make more money. what am I going to do with this money? So it is very important for me that the offer I have and the business I have is not only actually solving a problem and providing a value, but is doing something that is like meaningful and that I feel like I'm proud of. Like I envy the people that just want to make money for the sake of making money. For me, there has to be some type of like reason, you know. It's good.
Okay.
It's good for products. It's bad for sales.
Not necessarily, but I know what you mean. Um, with proper research, it's just like the perfect storm, right? To me, for me, what it is like you're in this like limbo state of, do I go to NASA? Do I do this? Do I do it's like, what are you going to do in like now, in the interim, in the next 6 to 12 months, right? And part of that depends on, you know, NASA in September. Well, this month you're finding out pretty soon
Yeah.
if you're getting in there, right?
Yeah. Sometime next week.
Next week. That's good. The way that I do my clarity work, and I don't know if I'm going to post this, but if I do and people are watching, I highly recommend sitting down. I was telling my barber this today. I highly recommend sitting down for a bare minimum of like 2 hours and just write down what your options are and what you want to do with the knowledge you have available to you at the moment. You gave me this idea to, go somewhere else, like to a park or something and do this. But like, it's not it part of it's thought dumping to get everything out on paper, but part of it is also like, you know, thinking straight and being able to analyze like what you're doing. But you've already done that. That's the work that we have here. It's now, we have this. What I'm looking at now is the way that I take the next step, which is something that the main purpose for this entire call and conversation is you don't have that crystal clear 10-year vision. Because
10-year vision, no chance.
right, if you have that, there's no question of what to do. You're like, oh, well, if that's where I want to be, well, what do I need to do to get there? And then you reverse engineer the steps, and then you just do what needs to be done today to get to next year, to get to the next year, to get to 5 years from now, and then you're halfway there. Maybe it takes you 14 years instead of 10.
Yeah.
But there's a sequence of things that need to be done to get there. So for me, it's building a 9-figure valuation company.
But like, why is that? Why build a 9-figure valuation
Dude, it's a
company?
sport, man. It would be so cool. I don't need that much money.
Right.
like to me, I love business. It's
Okay.
a video game to me. Like I came
Right.
back today after my trip and I was working. I was just like, dude, this is crazy. I actually love working. Like this is fun. This is what I always wanted to do. This is why I left school, right? So for me, it's keep doing that. And I'm kind of extreme in my girlfriend's words, right? Like I go super hardcore into things and I just want to I want to come as close to fulfilling my potential as possible. So
Yeah, see,
in
I
business is the
I agree
vehicle.
with
If I
I
was an
agree with that
athlete,
part.
I would want to be the
Yeah.
best athlete. To
Right, right,
me, money is, some people say this, money is the scoreboard. So that's me personally. For
right.
you, impact, meaningful work are very,
Yeah, 100%,
are
100%.
the utmost. For me, it's more of like um, achievement and again, fulfilling my potential. For me, that's the big thing. So you have your big thing, but what does that look like for you in 10 years is what we now need to identify, right? Is it one massive thing that you've done? Is it one incredible company? If so, you don't need to start the company today because I'm not. Now you're building the foundations that allow you to start that company and build that company rapidly in a short period of time, which is why you'd start next level and do your performance coaching, which is still meaningful work in the meantime. It may not be the most meaningful work. What I'm doing may not be the most meaningful work, but
Well,
it takes you to a point where you're doing something that you
well,
want to do ultimately.
next level is the meaningful thing because
Yeah, that's true. You were saying
if you remember the company, it's right now I'm in the next level systems phase because I'm focusing on that. But the incorporated name is actually next level lifestyle design and optimization, where the goal of the vision of the company is to just help like all humans make better decisions
Yeah.
and have more fun. Obviously, that's a very complex task. That's probably the most difficult problem there is to ever solve, which is like the human condition. You know, that's gonna take at
Yeah.
least probably like 10, 20 years. But
And a lot of
the way
people.
I see it, there's incremental steps to get there. Like money is not just the bottleneck. I mean, sure, I could make some cash, hire talented people. In order for that business to grow, other things need to happen in parallel, such as me learning more things in the engineering domain, such as me working with other researchers, such as me. Like the way my brain works is my brain is a it's a combiner of things that seemingly don't have anything to do with each other, but then it finds ways for them to have ways to each other. So I know that the conventional advice in business is pick one thing and focus on it relentlessly. That I don't think that works for me. For me, it's doing the things in parallel that synergistically induce ideas one into the other, and then help like drive things forward. You know?
Now, I will take a step back for anybody watching this. Your YouTube channel is targeting at the moment engineering students.
Yeah.
Like 15K subs, 17K or something like that.
Yeah, like 17 something. Yeah.
Yeah. And that is a really big thing here. You'll open it up to, probably people in STEM careers eventually and go broader in that sense. And be able to make videos for people. That's another conversation, and that needs its own
Yeah.
clarity session, to be honest. But bottom line, the reason that is important is for recruiting, because you're ultimately building either a software
It's a software and hardware
and a
company.
hardware company, yes, because you want to do wearables and
Wearables, exactly. I
this
need
kind of
electrical
stuff.
engineers and computer science students, which is the majority of my subscribers, which is great, you know?
Yeah. So that's where those two go hand in hand. And then engineering research and work, you said, was crucial.
Yeah, that's more of a heart thing than it's more of a, if I don't do, because I'm an engineer, I have a PhD in electrical engineering. If I'm not doing actual hands-on engineering, and learning things in that domain and growing my skills in that domain, I think it would take away from my YouTube channel and my company.
Right. It's kind of like, obviously how Elon does engineering, right? He is an
Exactly.
engineer, but
Exactly.
it's also one thing that I've learned in operating a company is leading by example. It's one thing to say, go do this. It's one thing to say, I do it like this, go do this. Right?
Exactly.
Nobody's going to
Exactly.
listen to you or respect you if you're not
If I
that.
don't know software
Right?
or hardware. Exactly.
And, one of my buddies, he has a friend that works at Tesla as an engineer. And at one time, Elon like walked in the room and everybody just went like dead silent.
Right.
Because, well, obviously it's Elon and there's the intimidation factor, but at the same time, it's like, that man sits down at his desk and just grinds, right? So it's like, if you want his respect, that's what you do. And how are you supposed to lead a productive company if you're not productive?
100%. Yes, and I do love Elon. I think practically Elon is having tons of fun. He works very hard, but he's also surrounded by the most talented engineers, and
He's
he
like
is
nerding
literally
out.
exactly. And to me, that is the ultimate fun. Like,
That's me in business.
yeah, and I think the hardest part about building an online company, especially the initial phases, is you're doing everything by yourself. And after some time, that can get very lonely and tiring, especially if you're the type of person that enjoys bouncing ideas with other people, working with other people, collaborating. I mean, I think our calls, without our calls, there probably would not have even been a next level, right?
Yeah, no,
Because
not even close.
it's the constant bouncing of ideas back and forth that eventually leads you to one day be like, oh, why don't I do this? Why don't I do that? And I think part of the struggle of why I kind of slowed down in the summer and need a break is I reached the point where I was like, man, like this is not fun. I'm doing everything by myself. This kind of sucks, you know?
But that's also what you have to push through, right? Now,
Yeah,
so here's where I want to look at, right? Because now it's like, well, what do you do in the interim, right?
mhm,
So we still need to identify this big picture idea
yeah,
is, well, it really is having a recruitment system that's, you know, there for you. Now, one thing that I think is important before making massive commitment to anything is, and see, here's the thing, you need to be open to the idea of ideas and plans changing, right?
right,
You want to make a wearable right now, maybe that doesn't end up happening, because what I was going to say is you need to talk to the market first and find out that there's even demand for such a thing in the first place,
right.
right? So that's obviously really important. But big picture, you want to build a company that helps people become better. Ideally in the hardware and software space, which is doable in some way, shape, or form. You could build like it won't necessarily fit perfectly, but an Aura ring is still an example of something that could fit the criteria of meaningful work, hardware, software, right?
Like
And helping people get better, become
a
better.
way more intelligent and interactive ordering. Yeah.
But what I'm saying is you could end up making something that's specific into diet as opposed to sleep, right? It could be a food tracker that tracks your heart rate, and just as a
Right, right,
really
right,
off the
right,
cuff idea,
right.
right?
Yeah.
Um, so you can keep. I don't know what software company I'm going to build. It won't even necessarily be a software company. I might find I might find this like. Now, I don't have my experience in manufacturing, so odds are I wouldn't go into manufacturing
Right,
and I'd keep it
right.
online and virtual. But my idea is to build a software company. I have no clue what it's going to be, dude. Right? But I know that that is the ultimate goal, right? And that is what's most important. So for you, if you know this, then again, it becomes, well, what needs to be done to get there? And let's zoom back out, or back in rather, to today.
Mhm.
You find out next week if you get into NASA, you've been in there twice. There's a pretty good chance you get in. Maybe you get in, you have pretty high
Well,
leverage.
even if I don't get in through this specific grant, there are different grants which I could like get in through. I think the real question is how badly do I want to? Do I want to enough to push for it very, very hard? Um, I guess a very important decision is, do I want to live in Boston or LA? I think that's a decision I have to make. Um,
Yes, there's something I wanted to ask you about this, which is why would you go to NASA?
Dude, very simple. It's the right answer when it just screams. It just popped in my head. I love being surrounded by like smart, amazing engineers. You know, that's just what I love, you know. And I'm not at this stage yet where I can build a company like Tesla or SpaceX or even like Zip2, and have like 3, 4, 5 full-time engineers. So the alternative is to go somewhere where they are working and hang out with them and learn from them, you know.
No, you can go.
No, I was gonna say that's the exact reason why I also like love my PhD program, because I'm around. I work with 3, 4 very talented people. My PhD advisor is extremely talented, hardworking, great guy, and I think I'm a journey guy. Like life is about the journey, and I want to spend my day to day like having as much fun as possible. And fun to me is solving problems with other very smart people. And that's why I kind of struggled a bit scaling my own business, not because I have the resources. I know exactly what needs to happen. I know exactly what needs to be done, but I just didn't want to. And I kept putting it off and I kept putting it off. And now I'm trying to find ways to recruit people and integrate it and make it not just a purely one-man show. But I don't know if that's even the right approach, to be honest.
See, one thing that is interesting to me, you're more of an engineer than an entrepreneur.
Well,
And
how would you define an entrepreneur? I feel like an engineer and entrepreneur both solve problems just in different domains.
You're more of an engineer than a business person.
How would you define a business person?
People who are more into sales, marketing,
Sales marketing.
operations,
I'm 1,000,000% product guy, and I'll be good at
and
sales because I believe in the product.
product is a part of business. There's no denying that. But
Right.
I'm talking more about um, business growth and maintenance of the business machine, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I'm
You
not
want
too
to
interested in that.
create something, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Now, there are different angles that you can take to things. You look at, Elon, for example, they don't do paid ads or that kind of stuff.
They
They're
make
very
insane
much
products.
exactly, right? Um, Now, if you combine the two, then you can put something on steroids, right?
100%.
So when we look at 10 years down the line, I want to build a 9-figure company.
Mhm.
You want to build an impactful, I want to build a 9-figure software company. You want to build an impactful mass market uh, productivity wearable, productivity, life
Productivity slash
optimization,
happiness.
right? Whatever, that betterment of humanity category,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah, just an optimist, like making humans more efficient, making humans more productive and happier, which means just like your existence means more that way.
Right. And now here's the thing, right? Connection, this is where networking and connections become important. And this is where doing something like going to NASA can become important, despite me telling you, dude, you need to make cash, right? Because I tell you that all the time. There's a balance when this is your goal. Um, because when you meet X number of people at NASA and then you start a company and it starts building some traction, you get to make your hire number one, hire number two that are like really good people, and you can pay them very well, ideally. And then you can really start building.
So you're saying you need the business as the cash flow machine at this stage, such that when things ripen, you have the cash ready for that talent.
But you also need the network.
Yes, of course.
You don't necessarily, because
Right.
you have a YouTube channel where, you know, good thing is that you'll be able to, um, since you've worked at NASA twice, you might be working there full time again. That helps, that gives you a lot of leverage to attract the right types of people. And you'll be able to attract people from top schools and get fresh grads, fresh brains that are like really hungry, ready to go, passionate, ambitious, etc. Right? That want to make good money, whatever it is. So you'll have that at your disposal, and that's only going to grow. But the thing is this is where the idea of broadening the reach of your channel to STEM allows you to, and not STEM students, STEM. This allows you to get people of tenure to apply to your
That,
company.
that
And then you have this unlimitedly sized recruitment funnel where everybody's applying to your company because they love you and they want to work for you and they're mission aligned, goal aligned, etc. Then you have 1,000 people when you're hiring 10, and you get to pick the top 1% of engineers who are already generally smart people.
yeah,
So,
I agree.
so if you look at the subset of the holy trinity, you call it, right, the YouTube channel, well, what is the goal for the channel over the next 5 to 10 years? It's to do the plan that we had discussed some time ago, which is to expand within the student niche, so to say,
Right.
right, and then expand more into careers in engineering altogether, and then even expand further into STEM, right? And potentially even just, this is something that you can figure out as you go because it's a long game and there are no
Right.
rash decisions that need to be made right now. But you look at somebody like Ali Abdal, right? I don't know his stuff too well, but he makes a lot of videos on like productivity and stuff, right? So generally speaking, on YouTube, what ends up happening is the people who watch your videos are oftentimes similar to you, and that's oftentimes in the like intelligence category. So you down the line, you may transition your channel from the engineering stuff gradually into productivity so that you can advertise your wearable, but have an audience that you can hire from.
Yeah, and I care more about having an audience of talent than an audience of consumers.
Agreed. But I'm saying that's just that's a
Yeah,
possibility,
absolutely.
right? I don't know how I feel about that. I'm
No,
not
well,
that experienced in
so
YouTube to be able to comment on it too
yeah,
well, but you see
but
where
dude,
I'm looking with this, right?
yeah, dude, the thing is, dude, I love YouTube so much, and I see opportunity in YouTube so much, and like, I think I can grow my business channel in parallel and just make the tutorials for the tracking, the optimization, the scale, the things of that nature. Um, I think if the vision is crystal clear, I view the business YouTube channel as just part of the marketing, where instead of just making new ads over and over, just make free content, you know?
Marketing,
Uh,
part of the marketing
for the
uh,
next level systems funnel.
okay, so let's look at that for a second. Because in theory, you could have this is just an idea, but in
Yeah.
theory, you could have two channels. One that is your recruiting channel, and
Yeah,
one
let's
that is currently your business channel, which at the moment would attract,
entrepreneurs,
business owners
entrepreneurs.
for high ticket sales, but
Exactly.
that could expand into a productivity channel to sell the product down the line.
Yeah, exactly. So one stays for engineering and talent, one is consumer from day one, for example. And I really think with enough leverage and enough reasons, that is totally doable. I know people's advice are focus on one thing rather than try to grow two things. But
This
again,
is
I think
these are like this is like one multifaceted thing.
exactly, it's a complicated system, but if executed well, it turns out to be something that's very elegant in like 5 to 10 years, you know? That's what I have in mind. So the big picture, I've always, I've, I mean, I might not have thought of it in terms of like a 10-year timeline, but I always know that's where things would eventually converge. The real difficulty is like now, today. Um, where would one start? Would you make the YouTube content? Would you turn on the ads? Would you do wait until you graduate and figure out whether you're moving to LA or Boston, or do you do it here from upstate New York? Or
Well, the good news is that you only have to wait about a week to find out about NASA.
yeah, exactly. I agree.
Right now, if you get into NASA, are you 100% going? Are you decided on that?
Yeah, 100%. I would go to LA. And then if I don't go through this grant, if this proposal doesn't get selected, I would probably go to Boston. And then from Boston, I could go back and forth. So that's a different discussion. But yeah, but the thing is, I have at least 3 months of being here in upstate New York, where it's gonna be cold and it's gonna be brutal, and I have at least 12, 14 hours a day available. Well, that's not true because I have to do some work towards my dissertation. Maybe 8 to 10 hours a day available of being inside all day. How should I use that? Would that just be go all in on business organic content to nurture the leads coming from the ads and get some traction, high ticket?
If I were in your position, or
Uh-huh.
if I look at one of the things that you struggle with, I think it's probably consistency. You post on your channel hardcore and then you stop. You go on business hardcore and then you stop. Now, you've been finishing up your PhD, so I understand that there's like a reason for this, but now that you'll be done, or you have how many hours a week are you going to be working on your engineering
I
stuff?
mean, if I'm graduating and if I don't have like research or engineering work lined up, that frees up like 40 hours a week, more or less.
So in those 40 hours, it's really like, keep growing the recruiting channel.
I think that can happen once a week. Like I think on Saturdays, I could
Like,
post one long form a week, 7 shorts.
yeah, I mean, like,
I mean, I'm already doing that. So like without like Ali the Dazzling is maximum like 3-4 hours per week worth of effort.
Yeah, so if you practice consistency with that, right? And then also practice consistency with the coaching business.
But the thing is, for the coaching business, you need like you need a clear roadmap to. So let's say I have around like $10,000 allocated for ads. Let's say that's like 3 months of ads. I don't want to just run ads, close some clients, make money, put more. Like I want to use. Like I want excited clients. I've had mostly amazing clients. I've had 1 or 2 clients where in my head I'm like, oh, I really should have said no in that sales call. And like I part of why I want to post content on the business channel is I want people who are like very excited to join the program and thrilled. Um
You want the hottest of the hot leads? Because
yeah,
YouTube
well,
organic leads are amazing.
yeah, and I feel like there's just so much value to add. The real question is like what value to add, you know? Um So like what would you say? Would you say, suppose I have these 3 months this fall? Would you say turn your ads on anyway and keep doing what you're doing like in spring and early summer? Or would you say no, come up with some type of YouTube organic strategy where you have like 10, 15, 20 ideas of things that will truly add value to people lined up, go all in on it, send your ads traffic to that if they don't convert immediately and just focus on growing that.
Yeah, so this is probably like the most important part of the video for most people.
Right.
And I have talked to you about this before. When you're starting out, you always, everybody, everybody has the tendency to be like, to just avoid what needs to be done.
Uh-huh.
When you're starting out, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to sign on clients that you shouldn't have. Um, refunds are inevitable in any business period. So
Right.
that's that. That sucks. I hate it. I seriously hate it, but it's inevitable in any business. People hate Teslas. People will be manipulative and try to sue for whatever reason. Some people just suck,
Yeah.
right?
But the thing is, the people that suck are a massive time and energy sink. So I think a lot of effort should be put in trying to avoid them, in my perspective.
Yes. But again, there's a line, right?
Yeah,
Um,
I agree.
and again, if you just know that when you're starting out, you're going to make mistakes, as you have, and you remind yourself of that, maybe you need to
Right.
write it down once a day. Maybe you need to write it down 5 times a day, right? Like I'm a massive perfectionist. Like to this day, I get annoyed when somebody like wants to cancel, right? And I'm like,
Yeah.
why isn't every single person staying, right?
Yeah, but the reality is that's not realistic. It's not reasonable.
It's just exactly right.
Yeah,
The
I agree.
top, the top of the top. There's always going to be something, right? So if you keep that in mind, bottom line, YouTube organic is an amazing strategy, and you have the skill, you possess the skill. So I think it makes perfect sense to do YouTube organic on both channels, the business one as well, right? But it's not a quick cash strategy. It's just not.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's possible that it will be. You know, you have an impressive like resume, so people may immediately take you very seriously and be very interested, so on and so forth. But there's only, generally speaking, you're not gonna like pop off just from YouTube organic. And it's when we look at this whole thing from a foundations perspective, you
Right.
want to learn ads, you want to learn sales because you're going to need
Absolutely.
to hire
Absolutely.
marketers and salespeople and stuff.
Absolutely.
So, what I would do in the 3 months personally would be post on the recruiting channel once a week, right? Post on the business channel at least once a week. I do twice on mine.
Yeah.
And you and I are going to have some really interesting YouTube organic conversations coming up because I'm cooking.
Yeah,
Um,
I would say probably way more than twice a week, sometime, right?
Depends because I've said this on my channel a bunch of times, but generate leads, book appointments, close appointments.
Right.
That is really where your time should be spent because here's the thing, right? Remember when we sat down and we write ad scripts together, we write PSL scripts together,
Of
we wrote a
course. Yeah.
sales script and sales presentation together.
Right.
That stuff is going to give you the now money. And it's going to help you build a system where in a year's time, you're able to hire a sales rep and just have this cash machine that's spitting you 30 to 50 grand a month.
Yeah, that's where you are right now, right? Like you have one sales rep or two?
Yeah. Well,
Okay, and that's like
one
one
sales
sales
rep, one
rep.
appointment setter, one fulfillment guy. But in a coaching business, maybe you'll have one fulfillment guy because you're doing more hands-on stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
It is more of a service-based approach, um, which that's a whole other conversation.
Well, I just think a course alone is
Oh
people
yeah,
have
yeah, that's
implementation difficulty, not information. So I think
yeah.
frankly, most courses without any type of implementation structure are, I don't want to say a waste of time, but not worth that much.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like I
All the information is out there. You just need to organize it and implement
it's
it in
you
the
know
most
what?
efficient way.
It's funny. I actually disagree with that.
Really?
Yeah, dude, when I've joined the more expensive programs I joined, the more I realize like this shit is not on YouTube.
Oh wow.
It's not because people withhold it intentionally because information is like uh like people withhold it and sell it,
That is very true.
right? Consulting is an industry. People are withholding
Yeah.
information and not
It's
not
funny.
giving information.
I'm very hypocritical for saying that because like the mental models and the systems and the frameworks that I have detailed out and that outlines, I don't reveal those. So I think you're right, actually.
Exactly. Right? Like I'm not here to tell you I'm giving away all my secrets on my channel. I'm super open about the fact that I don't. Right. And
Yeah, yeah,
oftentimes I
yeah.
say it's because it'll screw you up. And so I want to give the
But
fundamentals here. But
I do think that implementation or like execution or organizing information is something that is missing in a lot of courses that I've seen.
that's a little aside. Although I
Yeah.
agree. I agree. So that's what I would do. I would spend the bulk of my time, like, you say your recruiting channel takes you 3 to 4 hours a week. Cool. You have the other channel, spend 6 to 8 hours a week on that and post 2 videos a week.
Mm.
Let it build. Dude, focus on consistency. Don't burn yourself out. You always go crazy and then burn yourself out. I do the same thing. I overwork and then injure myself.
100%. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I like I
Sprint, rest, sprint, rest. Yeah,
I
it's quite.
with my YouTube, I've just gone for the consistency path, and it's been better overall.
I agree. I
So
think it's better for the user slash subscriber
people get used to
because
regularity, they come back more, so on and so forth.
yeah,
I was
yeah,
reading some stuff on that, but
yeah.
um, you also want to get into the habit of calling your leads every day, taking sales calls every day, right? Like checking up on your ads and the stats every day,
Right,
right?
right. Do the boring work.
The shit nobody else wants to do.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I think you're right. But yeah, I see your points. They're saying primary is ads, calling leads, email sequence, whatnot. Secondary is YouTube organic, nurturing, things of that nature. Right?
Primary is, and I know I mentioned it earlier and I made a video on it, but it's generate leads, book appointments, close appointments.
Close
That
appointments. Yeah.
you don't even need the YouTube channel, but
Right.
YouTube is a skill of yours. You have something to bring to the table, do it. Right? Yeah, I mean, when I was starting and growing my agency, I was posting one YouTube video per week. Wouldn't really take me too long at all, a couple hours maybe.
Right.
And that was with me making the thumbnails and with me editing the video and everything because I didn't have anybody do that for me. I'd do
Right.
one YouTube organic video a week, and the rest of my time was on my sales funnel. Generate, book, close. And obviously
Yeah.
fulfill the service, like oh shit.
Of course. Of course. Yeah.
It's that simple. It's not
Uh-huh.
that easy. You run into mindset blocks, and I'll give you a quick example. one of my best friends, he started setting for me yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's like he's a smart guy. He is a lot like me, where I don't like doing lame garbage, and I get bored of the doing
Yeah,
repetitive work,
repetitive stuff.
right?
Yeah.
And so, he hops in and he's like, he calls for like 3 hours. He's like, oh, like I called these people and like I didn't get that many answers, and whatever, there were some wrong numbers. I was like, all I said was nice, right? And then
Like suck it up. That's part of the job, right?
he messages me today, and he goes, hey, like I run through all the new leads in like no time. What do I do with the rest of my time? Like, how does this girl, like my other setter, how does she call 8 hours a day? I'm like, you should be making like 200 dials a day. If you're double dialing 100 people, that's only like 7 days, not even like a week's worth of leads, right? He's like, oh, you call that far back? I'm like, yeah, man. Like, call these people like a lot of times, like double dial 2 to 3 times on day one, double dial 1 to 2 times on day two, double dial day three, double dial day four, double dial day five, double dial day six. And then when you get in touch with them and they say, call me back, you put them into the follow ups, and then you go and call them when you're done all the not contacted people. And we have 2,000 not contacted people. I'm like, there's infinite work for you to do. And I was just like, we go hard. And he was just like, true. You're optimizing for fun, and that's very important. But a
Yeah.
lot of shit sucks
Yeah, it
ass,
just sucks.
bro.
Oh man. Yeah.
Like,
It's
a lot of it sucks ass, dude.
and dude, one thing that has not served me, it has served me extremely, but has not served me is like I'm such good at identifying the high leverage activities. So like for example, all the money I've made for my business was almost without a single like dial or without like it would be I don't know.
Just
It
the
would just be
VSL bookings and like,
yeah, it would be like yeah, and I like that. And that's why I spent so much time obsessing with you over the VSL. In my head, if the VSL does 25% instead of 15%, those are 10% of people I don't have to call. They're just gonna book immediately, you know.
but
But I agree
then
with you. I think, yeah, go ahead.
what it is, but KPI for a VSL is 5%. So if I'm doing 15%, that's like way over KPI, and 25% on a VSL is batshit insane. And then even then, you're still gonna have the
You're still
opportunity to
exactly,
call
you're still
people and book
leaving money on the
appointments.
table.
So it's like, but you
100%.
get diminishing returns with your time spent on the VSL. So you might as well just spend the time calling the
Well,
leads and
yeah, I mean,
hiring a
well,
setter.
yeah, I think for me the real sacrifice comes in that I always factor in time for engineering stuff.
Yes.
Soon enough that will go down a lot. So it would justify spending a lot of time on the phone. Um, but yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think for me initially, I don't know, only $3,000 per month on ads. That's like what, 10, 15 leads a day. That's not even that many dollars. That's probably like an hour max a day. I can suck it up. I can do it.
No, you'll get
So,
crammed in no time, but like that's a good thing. That's why you can't spend too much time on the YouTube channel. But here's the thing. One thing I want to say for the
yeah.
video is that you said you like want to do the high leverage activities. That's like a natural tendency for a lot of people,
Hmm.
because you don't want to do the stuff that nobody wants to do. No shit, right? So
Well,
with a setter, you go and hire a setter, but then you don't have the setting process, and she was a receptionist, but she didn't have the setting stuff, and this happened, that happened, and then you let the setter go because things weren't going to plan. And that's where I talk about the stuff of, you need to do it well and like
yeah, I agree.
get everything sorted. Then you can hire somebody, train them, and then get them up and running really quickly and easily. At that point, it's just that's that foundations conversation, right? So it sucks. You have your engineering foundations, which are insane, and a lot of the mental models and everything get mapped into business, but there's still business foundations that need to be built, and one of them is consistency.
Yeah, I agree.
And this is what we look at, the big picture goal of what you want to do, and this is us reverse engineering to focus on consistency, right? Book, generate leads, book appointments, close appointments, get your high ticket funnel running,
Well, I guess
right?
the real question is figuring out how much the business needs to bring cash wise to satisfy the other needs. My gut feeling it's somewhere in the 50K to 100K per month neighborhood. I think that should be enough. I don't see myself, at least for the next year or so, wanting to scale beyond 100K per month. I'd like to keep the business model as simple as possible. Like just me, one salesperson, one fulfillment person, maybe a setter.
One product. That's
Yeah,
why I'm telling you, don't worry about low ticket. Wait, get the high ticket stuff going first. Low ticket soups up your high ticket. And from what I was taught, you do low ticket after doing your like extremely high ticket,
yeah, I agree.
right? Um, your mastermind back end and stuff. So for now though, it's just once a week recruitment channel, twice a week business channel, build the funnel, and if you get into NASA, perfect. You have the leverage to hire people
Of
underneath you
course.
to do stuff, then
Yeah,
you have the time to still do all of this. Consistency long term is all you need. You
yeah,
can't run a
absolutely.
business. A business is
Yeah,
um
it's by definition, it's a system, and systems don't like not show up one day, show up the other.
exactly. And like it's funny
System
because
is there.
yeah, there's a book I started reading. There's no such thing as truly passive income. A system needs to be maintained. Every system
Yeah,
ever
needs to be
needs to be
lubricated,
maintained, right? And
optimized ideally as well.
right, but just from a maintenance standpoint, plant needs to be watered.
Hmm.
It like there's no getting away from it. So you can't go hard on a business for 6 months and then just disappear for 4 and then come back and do it for 2. Like it
I think you should not take a break just because you feel like not like you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. But I think sometimes it's good to step back and be like, what the hell am I even doing? Is this even the right thing? Is this even the right direction?
I'm making a
Uh,
video
I
about that actually.
I think that's very important. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, you come back fresh and you have well that's the thing. Like, yes, obviously consistency is important, but you need to have the right approach and the right strategy. And if you're not sold on it, you're gonna doubt yourself. And my brain, I envy the people that can just tell themselves, just suck it up and do it. My brain needs a justification where it's like, what are we doing here? Are you doing the YouTube thing? Are we not doing the YouTube thing? So I think the important precursor of consistency is having a clear plan of like what are we trying to do and why. And you don't forget that, you know?
That's why there's the 10-year plan. Because without the 10-year plan, you go on a hiatus. I still think, I mean, like for anybody watching this, most people are not in your situation where they're trying to like do this elaborate thing. They're just
Right.
trying to like
It's a
build an
very
agency or something, right? It's like don't take time off. Don't
yeah,
like don't do
if
not do that.
yeah, yeah, if you're just
I
building an
strongly advise
agency,
against it. I
if
never
you're just
I've never
doing
done that.
something, just do that, pour all your heart into it. I think that this is a very complicated, unique situation, right? Um, but I mean, I agree with you. I think consistency, regardless, is very good.
And
But
so just focus on building that and play like
with what
and
though? Like you're saying, turn the ads on and just start taking calls and
play long, dude. Play long. Like building like what we're doing here is we're building from today. We're building the 10-year down the line human optimization hardware business.
right,
That's what we're
right.
doing. You so you need to build so how it's a system. There are the multiple moving parts. There's the recruitment leg, there's the YouTube organic for the business channel to
Right.
bring deals in, and then there's the paid ads funnel to get the high ticket stuff going and to teach you the fundamentals of building a business and maintaining a business over the long. That is a system. So all of those things, every one of those things needs to be done on a daily or weekly basis.
Of course, of
Period.
course.
From now on. If that's what you want to do, there's no like just do it from now on. Now, it's one thing if you make 4 months of YouTube videos and then pour all of your time and energy into something else for 3 months and then go back to posting and the videos are going out twice per week for 4 months. As long as those are going out, there are no rules per se,
I agree.
but
I agree.
and certain things are more and less important at different times in the business. But it being a system, all of the parts need constant work, not just bits and pieces, right? So if you went to NASA, it would arguably be ideal because you have that leverage. you'd be around the right people, so that part
Well,
would be
I
moving.
think I'd just be in a better mood. I think that's the only thing. I think everything else is easy. Uh, but
But
I
the
think I'd be in
networking
a,
part is what I'm talking about, right?
yeah. But I think in Boston I'd be in a great mood as well. Um,
You see what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah, I agree.
The
Yeah, so
justification again is you're doing this so that I'm
mhm.
building my agency, I'm posting on YouTube so that, right? Like I'm it's like Ramosi will say, like the world belongs to those who can keep doing without seeing the
Without
results
seeing
of
the
their
results that they're
actions.
doing. Absolutely, sure.
So
Absolutely.
it's that, and the beauty of like paid ads and stuff is you can get results pretty quickly, right? As you saw, your first month you got results. Uh, so
The paid ads are awesome.
yeah, no, they're the best. And then you have me at your disposal to help you with all of that,
Of
right?
course.
So like you got
I have a
cheat codes.
world class marketer.
Oh, world class. Yeah.
Um,
Um, do you feel better? Do you feel like this makes more sense?
yeah, I mean, before the call, I didn't want to turn on my ads. Now I think I want to turn on my ads. So I think
Yeah, I did my job.
uh
I did my
yeah,
job.
I was like, man, I mean, the good news is we find out in a few days. I think it's also the uncertainty aspect. I think the real superpower in business and in life is to keep moving despite uncertainty. I think I have not mastered that yet. And I think that's the one skill or meta skill that if anybody masters, you are by definition unstoppable.
That is
Because
consistency.
yeah,
That's like the one thing that if you just focus on consistency, that's all you need to do. The rest of it just happens. Time's going to pass anyway, and time accelerates as you age, or your perception of time accelerates as you age. So if you just keep going, then there's an exponential increase in YouTube growth, right?
yeah,
But there's also an exponential increase in business revenue as you up your skills in paid ads, in appointment setting, in sales, in management, right? When you go from sales to sales management,
of
when you go
course.
from appointment setting to managing a team of like the
Mm.
leverage, well, that's the leverage you're after. And you want to cheat the system and start now, but you just can't. That's what sucks. And that's a trap a lot of people fall into. I fell into the exact same thing. I hired one of my buddies to do appointment setting before I had a proper process, and it was kind of it's kind of like, what am I doing here,
No,
right? I
I
was
think you
just
have to do
pussying
it.
him.
You have to do it right. Yeah,
You have to do
I
it
think
right. You
you have to do it
definitely
right.
have to do it right. And that's
Yeah.
one of the things I want to do with my channel too, as I've talked to you about, is like make some like significantly higher effort videos. I can talk and give good valuable information, but I want to make some really good videos that are like
Yeah,
actually extremely powerful,
I agree. I
right?
have the same goal. I think we're gonna need hours of just YouTube alone. Um,
Yeah, well, we want to set those chats up. Um,
but yeah,
but
dude, I mean, this conversation is insanely helpful in that it just refocuses on A, that I mean the business is necessary short term and long term, but B is like you said, is learning to move through the uncertainty and just being consistent no matter what.
this is the
And
business. This is the business that will be the business in 10 years. This is it. You have to work
yeah,
on it. So
exactly.
that's, I
No,
think
I
that's
agree.
a perspective that I'm just trying to give you different angles to for
No,
that
100%. And
justification.
I no, I think I mean you said one of the most valuable things you said is when I said doing things in spite of uncertainty, where it's like, oh, I don't know where I'm gonna live, I don't know where like it's gonna happen. Time will pass by either way. So what would you rather do? Like time pass and you're still stuck on the same chair, still haven't figured it out,
Fear of
or at
regret's a
least
big driver for me.
or at least like move in a direction. And sure, it might not even be the right direction, but it's certainly better than just sitting on the same chair and waiting for things to happen because things never happen if you just sit there, you know.
Yeah.
So I agree that I think that's probably one of the more profound things from this conversation. I actually wrote it down.
I'll tell you how it is for me a little bit more so that you can map my situation on to
Right.
yours or yours onto mine. So I know I want to build again a nine-figure valuation company. Whether that's alone or whether that's with somebody, uh, doesn't really matter to me because I don't care if I exit for 50 million or 100 million personally. I don't, that doesn't really matter to me. I want to build something significant in
Mhm,
size and like build a pretty big business to my current uh, standards. And I want it to be software. I know that much.
mhm.
And I don't know what niche, I don't know what anything, but I also want to grow my YouTube channel because that will allow me to inject capital into any business that I make, provided the niche is relevant. So the easiest business I could start, software business I could start would be in the SMA space because that's what my audience is now.
Mhm.
If I continue to grow in the space, then I can just send people straight to that. And there you go, capital injection, turn on ads, scale the thing out, pump revenue numbers, you know, obviously, ideally have good
Mhm.
retention, etc. Uh, so, okay, well, in order to do that, I need cash flow, right? And,
Yeah,
from everything I've heard, it costs between 100 and 200 or 100 and 250K per month just to build a robust software.
wow, yeah,
So, um, I need to have that cash flow coming in. So I need to build a cash flow company. Um, that's a big part of what the agency is about right now. That's why um, I built it in the first place. On top of the fact that, again, obviously, I just enjoy business and I like helping people. But money's definitely a motivator. I'm not going to say it's not. And
right,
that's also why I even built the SMA channel in the first place and switched my channel's niche from real estate to SMA because um, I saw an opportunity. I knew I had a position I could plant myself in the marketplace, and I just took advantage of it and went for it. And then I got a lot of traction really quickly, and I solidified my place, right? Um, so now I'm just spending time and money. All I'm doing is planting seeds. Every day, all I do is plant seeds. I'm taking an email copywriting course.
right,
And one of the things that the guy recommends to do is he gives you examples and he recommends you hand copy them because it trains your brain how to write good copy. It's as if you're writing it. Your brain learns that way. And so I just sit there copying emails. Like I did that for 2 hours today. I just
right.
sat there writing emails by hand that weren't my emails. It's
Wow.
like lame
Just
as
to
hell.
kind of like, yeah, get it registered in your head.
And the email course is like 20 things long. So at this point, I did like number 17 today, and a lot of them have two things to copy. Some of them have zero, though. I've probably copied by hand like 15 to 20 emails. That's
Mhm.
lame, dude. And it takes like 30 minutes per a lot of the time. So, like, I have like 7.5 hours of experience
Mhm.
writing somebody else's emails on paper. All I'm doing is planting seeds because that's going to make me a better copywriter. I'm making YouTube videos consistently because that's going to make me better at making YouTube videos. And
Yeah,
that's going to be the thing that gives me the significantly sized audience that I can recruit from or that I can sell to. Um, and that's the game that I'm playing. All I'm doing is planting seeds. A better tomorrow at the cost of today. I made
yeah.
a video on that. Right.
That's
So
a really good mindset.
if you look at paid ads as this in calling leads as this grueling thing, so did I, man. I don't like talking to people very much. I'd just rather sit at my computer and nerd out all day long and like write ads and
Yeah,
film
I know.
ads and you know
It's
so
it's
I'm really
it's
excited
having
now, but
it's having the luxury of having done what you like for so long. Like from
yeah,
yeah, yeah, I
yeah.
no, I dude, I agree with you 100%. I agree. But
So
it needs to be it's necessary.
absolutely. And that is one thing that just keep planting seeds.
Yeah.
You can't harvest for in this case in this case you're learning paid ads and you're calling leads and having the same 7-minute conversation on repeat to build a sheet of what to say, an opener, tonality, objection handling, so that you can train somebody, so that you can just climb one step
Mhm.
and get up one step in
Absolutely.
leverage.
Yeah.
And it's just one step at a time. And the steps take way longer than they do on the stairs. They take, in a lot of cases, months, right? And so that's
I
why it
agree.
takes, years to go up 3 flights of stairs. That I think is some of the most priceless information I can give, because that's just like, that is what I do in my free time. I'll pull up my notes. I wrote this when I was on the plane. Like, what am I going to do with my free time now that I'm not on calls? Spend time reading and doing courses, and on writing and thought exercises. Also, spend time testing new ads. Biggest one. I'm
Wow.
focusing on reducing my lead costs right now, so I got to spend time on testing ads. Um, Otherwise, I'm going to be consuming information and getting even more clarity and making sure I'm doing the right things. That's one of the highest leverage things you can do, is this conversation, is making sure you're doing the right things. Because this
I
conversation,
agree.
think about it. You do everything that I'm saying here
Oh
for
yeah,
two
it's
years, it unlocks
dude,
like,
not even 2 years, like 4 to 6 months.
yeah, right? But it unlocks this whole new world for you.
I agree. I
And
agree.
then it allows you to get up one flight of stairs in the next 2 years. And at that point, maybe you're doing, I don't know, like 150, 200 grand a month, something like
Right.
that. You have 2 sales reps, you're cash flowing pretty nice. And then you can start building your thing. I'm kind of going in circles right now, but it's for a good reason. I know you understand, but again, it's just like, I like saying the same thing in different
Yeah, you
ways,
gotta, well,
because
you gotta
different
drill it.
things, different, yes, but different things like
Click a different.
click
Yeah,
for
I agree.
different people.
I agree. I agree.
You know, consistent inputs, consistent outputs.
Yeah. Also, I'm gonna make a list of I already made a new Excel sheet of some like systems thinking, principles thinking, engineering frameworks content. I want to run it through you maybe next time. Um, I think you're gonna like it. So that can fuel the marketing. Because yes, you like obviously turn on the ads, have the best email sequence, call people. But I think as part of that email sequence, I think I really want to. I just enjoy YouTube. I just love sharing ideas, sharing knowledge. So I think that can add the
No,
fun
YouTube's
element.
fun.
I think
YouTube's fun.
YouTube adds the element, the fun element to the business.
I agree big time. It's like it feels like a hobby for me, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. It's just and it's free. It's free information, and you connect with people and you help people, and it's just yeah, man. I love YouTube so much. Whoever is seeing this, if you ever end up working at YouTube or whatnot, thank you. Or
Boost my channel, please.
yeah,
Give me free views.
yeah. You should do that as well. I think I learned a lot, and I have a lot to think about myself. I think enough talking. Time to
Yeah,
go
I'm
and
15
put these
minutes late
things.
to tracking some of my YouTube ad stats and making
Okay,
some
cool.
decisions. So I gotta run,
All right, you do that.
but
I'm going to
big
write
thoughts.
a $5 million proposal to convince the U.S. government to give us money to launch 2 satellites in space so we can test out new radios. But after that, I'm going to work on my ads and my organic Excel sheet. I'll update you on that.
All right, we'll talk soon.
All right, sounds good. Peace, love.
Later. So that has been me working with my buddy Ali, helping him build his, well, telling him about my 9-figure business roadmap, helping him build his 10-year plan, and helping him get clarity on what needs to be done right now so that he can build this business that he's envisioning in his mind but struggling to, or that he was struggling to put the pieces together. So hopefully you enjoyed. Watch whatever's on screen. See you there.